in the meantime, I thought we could just discuss the Old Firm derby and your thoughts. So you obviously won, but Liam, I'll let you take it away. Like, what are your thoughts on the win, going 6 points clear, and the rest of the season, mate?
So before the game, a lot of the talk from a lot of Celtic fans that I'd spoken to was kind of like Celtic can afford to draw the game. If we drew, it'd be a better result for us than it would be for Rangers. But I always say I don't really like that attitude. I prefer just to go, take maximum points, or at least aim for that, and then if it does come to a draw, then you can settle for that if you have to. But I always think you should go out for the 3 points, and I think Celtic obviously had that same attitude, and that's what I always expected Postecoglou to do, because he never really changes his style of play, and he always likes to play on the front foot. So obviously now the fact that he did go and get the win, say 6 points clear with I think it's a 16 goals better off goal difference, then it puts us in a really good position now. With only one derby game left for the rest of the season, and obviously 6 games to go. So you say you don't want to count your chickens yet, but Celtic, would do well to mess it up from here.
Yeah, agreed, mate. Stephen, what are your thoughts, mate? Do you think, going 6 points clear with the 2-1 win will, that's the league done? I also want to hear your thoughts on the actual game and some of the controversy as well, lads. But yeah, Stephen, I want to hear your thoughts on the game and the rest of the season, mate.
It's not really that long since the new year, but when we were 6 points behind Rangers, and it looked as if that getting into the new year, we would be the ones chasing them. So I think what gave me comfort at the weekend was the fact that we went to Ibrox in a strong position. We could afford to lose and still be top of the league. And I think that pressure on Rangers actually showed, because Celtic played, even though we were a goal down early in the game, I never felt at any time that Celtic were in particular danger. And it's good to see the team playing in their normal fashion. They've been very consistent, and ever since October-November period when we went in this run, the defence has been stable, the midfield's been consistent, and up front we've managed to score goals. It was actually quite pleasant to see the defence take the plaudits for a wee change, because this season it's been the guys in the attacking positions that have took the headlines, Jota and Kyogo, Abada and people like that. So it was good to see guys like Greg Taylor and Carl Starfelt, Carter Vickers as well, Juranovic. The entire defence was solid in the second half against Rangers when we were under pressure, and I think that was a very pleasing factor.
No, interesting. I mean, yeah, I did think personally the pressure got to Rangers a bit. I just, when you're always chasing the league after the position that they were in early in the season, it's always going to be, even more added pressure, especially playing at the Ibrox as well. What did you two make of the, I suppose, controversy from, the glass being thrown, the stewards being thrown near Joe Hart as well? What did you make of that?
I mean, for me, it seems to be any time when they've been getting beat in the past. If you look through history, there's games like been games in the 60s at Hampden when Celtics won cups, and it's ended up in fights on the pitch. The 1980 Hampden riot again was when they got beat. Hibs beat them a few years ago in the final of the Scottish Cup, and there was a pitch invasion there with both sets of fans fighting. And then again when they were getting beat here. So you wouldn't say you would expect that, but it does seem to be quite frequent when they get beat throughout the decades. The big thing for me is, that it's one thing fighting with other fans. Obviously, that's not, that's never a good thing. That's never something that should be tolerated. But it's kind of, more severe when it's then stretching to players being put in danger and backroom staff. People in the dugout, the Celtic physio that had to get stitched after he got a bottle to the head. Things like that. That if Rangers can't guarantee our players and our staff safety, there's something more severe should be done about it then. And it's not even a case of closing one section, because the glass that came onto the pitch in Joe Hart's goal area, that's at one end. Jota was getting coins thrown him at the other end, and then the physio was from the a bottle from the main stand that hit him. So it's several different sections of the ground. It's just it's the kind of stuff you'd expect to see in the 70s or something like that. It should be in a bygone era. It's completely unacceptable.
Yeah, and I suppose both of you have written. You're both authors. Obviously, Stephen, you're the author of The 10 Men Won the League and the Kenny of Celtic. Liam, Our Songs and Stories, Taking to Your Paradise as well. So you've got a good grasp and good knowledge of the history of not only Celtic but also the Old Firm derby. I suppose of some of the violence that's happened in the past. And so, Stephen, kind of on that, do you think, looking at the Old Firm derbies moving forward, do you think something really needs to be done, or do you think it's just going to kind of stay this way forever in terms of some of the violence at the end?
The one thing I can't get my head around is whether it was a bottle that smashed, hitting the crossbar, for example, onto the pitch, or if somebody's premeditated, brought in broken glass with a view to throw it into the goal mouth. That is a really evil thing to do. And I think, you wonder what goes through the mindset of these people, because obviously it's Joe Hart's goal mouth, and the intent is to cause injury to Joe Hart, which is bad enough. But if you're a Rangers fan and you're throwing glass into the penalty area, then Rangers players are going to be sliding in there looking for goals. So you're running the risk actually of injuring your own players. I mean, that absolute stupidity, it goes beyond stupidity. It's actually a really evil thing to do. And I really don't know how you stop it, because we've got CCTV cameras, we've got stewards, we've got police. The grounds have never been safer. I mean, you're talking about the 1970s. The 1970s was a real violent decade when it comes to football. Sometimes you took your life in your hands, going to games in terms of gangs fighting, bottles getting thrown at a time when you could bring alcohol into games, but fans were much more intoxicated. So I've got a wee bit of sympathy for the clubs, and as much as you wonder what you can do, but you do have to look at Rangers in particular and say, if this is happening consistently at Ibrox, then perhaps some restrictions have got to be put in place, or some sort of punishment.
No, agreed. I think that's the same for all football fans all over the country. Fellas, I wanted to keep this short and sweet, so thank you very much for joining. One last question for both of you before we go. Just want a yes or no answer. Do you think Celtic will now win the league? Liam?
Yes.
Stephen?
It would be an unmitigated disaster if we don't. We're in such a strong position that we just have to keep it going. Big Ange put it well the other day. We'll just keep winning games until it's mathematically impossible for anybody to catch us.
Beautiful. Great. Well, thank you very much for joining, fellas. Appreciate it. And we'll have one next week with a few of the other lads, including Matt McLaurin as well. So have a good one. I'll chat to you soon. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, Jack. Bye.